What's up, Raider Nation? Michael here, and we've got some jaw-dropping rumors brewing around the silver and black. Russell Wilson to the Raiders? Could it actually happen? Oh, and just when you thought the Chiefs had it all figured out, trouble is knocking at their door. Grab your popcorn because today's updates will leave you on the edge of your seat. Let's dive in. The offseason is always a wild ride for Raider Nation, but this year feels different. With so many moving pieces across the league, these rumors about Wilson and the Chiefs' troubles could redefine the AFC West. Stick around because we're just getting started. All right, Raider Nation. Before we tackle this wild Russell Wilson rumor, let's get some context. The offseason is heating up and every team is reloading. The Raiders are gearing up under new leadership and whispers of big moves are swirling. But this isn't just about us. It's about shaking up the entire AFC West landscape. Can you imagine Wilson in silver and black? Let's break it down. The Raiders have a history of making bold moves, and this offseason could be no different. The key question is how much risk they're willing to take to secure a player like Wilson. Raider Nation, buckle up because the stakes couldn't be higher. Okay, here's what we know. Multiple sources have hinted that the Raiders are keeping tabs on the possibility of landing Russell Wilson. Now, we know Wilson's time in Denver hasn't exactly gone as planned. With the Broncos looking to revamp and Wilson needing a fresh start, could Vegas be his next destination? Raider Nation, what do you think? Is Wilson the right fit for us? Let me know in the comments. While the rumor mill is buzzing, we've got to ask ourselves, how real is this possibility? If the Raiders are serious, they'll need to outmaneuver other teams and offer a package that benefits Denver. No small task considering the stakes. Let's think about what Wilson could bring to this team. Like a proven Super Bowl champion, dynamic playmaker, and someone who thrives under pressure. Pair that with Davante Adams and Josh Jacobs, and we're talking about a potential offensive powerhouse. But, and there's always a but, is the price tag worth it? The cost of acquiring Wilson could be steep, both in terms of draft capital and salary cap impact. Raider Nation, would you be willing to sacrifice future flexibility for a shot at immediate success? Let's weigh the pros and cons. Now, while we're dreaming big, let's shift gears to our biggest rival, the Kansas City Chiefs. Rumor has it, there's trouble in paradise. Key contract negotiations are reportedly stalling, and their cap space is tighter than a fourth quarter blitz. Could the Chiefs be in for a rough offseason? Let's hope so. This is exactly the kind of distraction the Raiders need from their biggest rival. If the Chiefs falter in free agency or lose key players, it could open the door for the Raiders to seize control of the division. Stay tuned for updates on their struggles. Now, Raider Nation, let's talk about the man behind our defense, Patrick Graham. Rumors are swirling that Graham is a top candidate for the Jaguars' defensive coordinator job. This news raises questions. Will the Raiders retain Graham? Or could we see major changes on the defensive staff? If Graham does leave, who's next in line? Losing Graham would be a significant blow, especially with the strides the defense made last season. Raider Nation, who would you like to see step into that role if Graham moves on? Drop your suggestions in the comments. Here's the kicker. The Jaguars are desperate to fix their defense after a horrendous 2024 season. With one of the worst defensive records in the league, they're eyeing Graham as the guy to turn things around. But can the Raiders afford to lose him, especially after showing flashes of improvement late last season? Jacksonville's defensive woes are well documented, but the question is whether Graham would want to step into such a challenging situation. Raider Nation, would you leave Vegas for that mess in Jacksonville? Let's hear your take. Speaking of Jacksonville, their new head coach Liam Cohen is wasting no time building his staff. But here's where it gets messy. Graham already interviewed for their head coaching position but was passed over. If you were Graham, would you take the DC role or stick it out in Vegas? Tough call, right? It's clear that Jacksonville sees potential in Graham, but their handling of his head coaching interview might leave a sour taste. Raider Nation, how would you feel if the roles were reversed? Let's discuss. Let's be real. The Raiders' defense has been a mixed bag. We've seen moments of brilliance, but also breakdowns that make you want to throw your remote. If Graham stays, the focus needs to be on the secondary. We can't compete in the AFC West without locking down the passing game. With offenses like Kansas City's and Los Angeles lighting up the scoreboard, shoring up the secondary isn't just a priority, it's a necessity. Raider Nation, what moves do you think we should make? For some perspective, the Jaguars allowed a league-high 4,375 passing yards in 2024. They're a mess in the secondary, which is why they're so desperate to land Graham. But hey, that's their problem. We've got to focus on making our defense playoff ready. Graham's ability to turn around struggling defenses makes him a hot commodity, but the Raiders must do everything they can to keep him. Raider Nation, should we be worried? Let's hear your thoughts. Oh, and here's another curveball. Rumors suggest Pete Carroll could be in the mix for a role with the Raiders. Can you imagine the legendary coach joining the Silver and Black? What kind of impact would he bring? Raider Nation, drop your thoughts below. Adding a veteran presence like Carroll could be a game changer for the Raiders. His experience and leadership might be exactly what this team needs to take the next step. What do you think, Raider Nation? Let's not forget, the AFC West is an arms race. The Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos are all making moves. If the Raiders want to stay competitive, we've got to think big. Whether it's Russell Wilson, Patrick Graham, or Pete Carroll, it's all about making bold decisions. The division's competitiveness means there's no room for complacency. Every move counts, and Raider Nation knows this better than anyone. What bold moves do you want to see this offseason? All right, Raider Nation, it's time for your input. What do you think about these rumors? Should we go all in on Wilson, keep Graham, or maybe bring in Pete Carroll? Hit me up in the comments and let's get this debate going. Your opinions drive this channel, so don't hold back. Let's make this the most engaged offseason yet. Comment, debate, and let's shape the conversation around our Raiders. One thing's for sure, the Raiders aren't sitting still this offseason. Big changes are coming, and I'm here to keep you updated every step of the way. Raider Nation, the future is bright, and we've got plenty to be excited about. Stay tuned because the best is yet to come. Together, we'll break down every rumor, every move, and every game. Raider Nation, this is our time. If you're as hyped as I am, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with your fellow Raider fans. Let's keep the Silver and Black conversation alive. Until next time, stay strong, Raider Nation. Michael, signing out. Remember, Raider Nation, your support fuels this channel. Let's keep the momentum going and make this the best offseason yet. See you in the next video. Hey, Raiders Nation. Michael here in charge of Raiders Report, and today the program is on fire. Have you ever imagined Russell Wilson wearing the silver and black, leading our offense and bringing the experience that was missing? Well, it seems that this idea, which previously seemed absurd, is starting to take shape. We have hot information about a possible reunion between Wilson and Pete Carroll, now in charge of the Raiders. And it doesn't stop there. Meanwhile, we have news that will make any Raiders fans' day. The Chiefs, our beloved rivals, just received a blow like that. Justice in the NFL may finally be coming our way, and I'll explain why. So leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hold on tight because today's program promises to be a blast. Come with me because we're going to break it all down in detail, and I guarantee you, you won't want to miss a single second. Now let's get right to it, Nation. A report from Ian Rappaport, echoed by Jeff Howe of The Athletic, has suggested that Russell Wilson's name is being seriously floated behind the scenes at the Las Vegas Raiders. And it's not just speculation. There's a direct connection to Pete Carroll, the man who managed Wilson at the height of his career in Seattle. Pete Carroll arrived at the Raiders as head coach and brought with him expectations of big changes. If there's anyone who knows Russell well and knows how to get the best out of him, it's Carroll. And that raises the question, are we on the verge of seeing this partnership reborn, this time in Las Vegas? If that happens, the implications could be huge. A quarterback with Wilson's experience could not only lead the offense, but also serve as a mentor to the franchise's next QB. The idea of using Russell as a bridge quarterback is starting to gain traction. What do you think? Comment below. Pete Carroll is not only a skilled coach, he is a master at developing quarterbacks. He was the one who helped Russell Wilson become one of the best QBs in the league during his time with the Seahawks. The connection between the two is undeniable, and the possibility of bringing that chemistry to the Raiders is intriguing, to say the least. Additionally, Carroll has an impressive track record of building competitive teams. He knows how to work with young talent and veterans to create a cohesive team. If that mindset is applied to the Raiders, with Wilson as the linchpin of that transition, we could be on the cusp of something special. And here's the interesting thing. Carroll has said in interviews that he believes in the potential to build winning teams from scratch. That means he could be thinking about shaping the Raiders for the future, starting with Wilson's experience in grooming the franchise's next great QB. Does he have a strategic plan behind all of this? The idea of using Russell Wilson as a bridge quarterback is starting to make sense, Nation. If we look at recent examples, like the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes or even the Packers with Aaron Rodgers, we can see how this strategy can work. Giving a young QB time to develop while learning from a seasoned veteran is a smart move. Wilson has the ideal profile for this. He is not only a skilled player, but also a leader on and off the field. His work ethic and attention to detail could be the perfect model for a young talent like Shedeur Sanders or Jalen Milroe, who are both being touted as potential future Raiders QBs. And of course, this approach gives the Raiders something they've lacked in recent years, stability. It's not just about winning now, but about building a solid foundation for the future. If Wilson accepts this role, we could be taking the first step toward a new era of success. Now, the big question dividing Raiders Nation. Do you want Russell Wilson at the helm? We know he's not a unanimous choice, but we also can't ignore what he brings to the table. Max Crosby, for example, has already stated that Wilson is one of the toughest quarterbacks to play against, and that says a lot about his quality. On the other hand, some say bringing in Wilson could be a risk, especially considering his inconsistent last season. Does he still have the gas in the tank to lead a team like the Raiders that desperately needs results? The discussion is open, and I want to know your opinion. Comment here, yes or no for Russell Wilson to the Raiders. There's no point in sitting on the fence, okay? Let's heat up this debate because the nation deserves to be heard. When we talk about Russell Wilson, we also need to talk about numbers. A 3-year contract worth around $75 million with 2 years guaranteed. Seems reasonable given the current situation. It's a big investment, but it could be worth it if he takes on the role of mentor to the next QB. Wilson has shown in the past that he is willing to play for smaller contracts to help the team. That's what he did in Pittsburgh when he accepted the veterans minimum. Would he be willing to do something similar for the Raiders, focusing more on his legacy than the money? And of course, if the deal is structured right, the Raiders can minimize financial risk while still making the most of his experience. The question is Wilson willing to embrace this transitional role? That could make or break the success of this plan. Do you like the format so far? I can continue structuring the other scenes like this. Hang in there, nation, because what comes now is going to make any Raiders fan's heart skip a beat. While we discuss the possible arrival of Russell Wilson, our rivals, the Kansas City Chiefs, have just received news that could change the game. Literally. Are you tired of the Chiefs getting the short end of the stick due to questionable refereeing decisions? Well, it looks like the NFL is finally listening to our complaints. According to Adam Schefter, major changes are being discussed to end the blatant favoritism that Mahomes and company receive. But wait, there's more. The impact of these potential changes could be felt in the upcoming games. And of course, we'll analyze what this means for the Raiders and their AFC West campaign. Let's dive into this story. Back to the subject of quarterbacks, Russell Wilson's name isn't the only one on the radar. In addition to him, we have young talents like Shedeur Sanders and Jalen Milroe who are attracting the attention of scouts. Pete Carroll, with his experience, may be thinking about shaping the Raiders' future around one of these names. Shedeur Sanders, for example, has been a production machine in college. With a coach like Carroll and a mentor like Wilson, he could develop quickly and take over the team when the time is right. Jalen Milroe brings a fearsome combination of physical strength and mobility, something Carroll knows how to exploit. What we do know is that the Raiders are leaving no stone unturned in their search for a quarterback who can lead the team for years to come. What about you, nation? Do you have a favorite? Which of these names would you like to see wearing the silver and black? Let me know in the comments. And now, nation, let's talk about our favorite rivals, the Chiefs. Finally, the NFL is moving to correct the injustices that have favored Kansas City in recent years. According to Adam Schefter, the league is discussing expanding play review to include situations like quarterback slips, something that often benefits Mahomes. For those who don't know, in the last 8 playoff games alone, the Chiefs have had 0 roughing the passer penalties against them, while their opponents have accumulated 6. This is ridiculous and is distorting the competitiveness of the games. It seems that the NFL is finally recognizing this disparity. If these changes are implemented, the impact could be huge. Imagine a game where Mahomes no longer has this overzealous protection from the referees. It would level the playing field and give teams like the Raiders a fair chance to compete. It's time for justice to be served. Now, if you think we're exaggerating, just look at these numbers. During the Chiefs' playoff winning streak, their foul statistics are absurdly lopsided. In addition to the 6 roughing the passer calls against opponents, we had 4 unnecessary roughness calls, and against the Chiefs, only 1. This is even more evident when we look at recent games. In the last matchup with the Texans, a game that was evenly matched, a lack of roughing, the passer completely changed the pace of the game. And the worst part is that this is not new, it is standard. The NFL needs to fix this, and fast. If we want a fair and competitive league, we can't continue with this kind of favoritism. That's why this news of rule changes is so important, and why we as a nation need to keep pushing for fairness on the field. What does this mean for the future? If the NFL does implement these changes, the Chiefs will feel the difference, big time. They are used to getting favorable calls in decisive moments, and this could completely change the dynamics of games. Additionally, this is an opportunity for the Raiders to take advantage of a more level playing field. With the new rules, our chances of going head-to-head with Kansas City increase considerably. This is the beginning of a scenario where skill and strategy really count without outside interference. And you know what's best? This could start to happen in the next games. So, nation, get ready, because the rivalry is going to get even fiercer, and this time, justice could be on our side. For those who are still not convinced, let's remember some moments that define the blatant favoritism that the Chiefs receive. Who here doesn't remember Max Crosby being penalized for a clean sack on Mahomes? Meanwhile, other QBs like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson suffer absurd hits without any protection. And it's not just against Max. In recent games, we've seen several instances where non-existent fouls were called in favor of the Chiefs, completely changing the course of the game. This goes far beyond a misinterpretation by the referees. It's something that needs to be addressed urgently. What we're asking for here is not special treatment for the Raiders. We just want the rules to be applied fairly, without favoritism. The NFL owes it to us, the passionate fans who want to see a fair and exciting game. Today is Chiefs vs. Bills Day, and all eyes will be on the referees' decisions. Will the pressure from the media and fans make a difference? Will we finally see a game where Mahomes doesn't be treated as untouchable? This is the perfect opportunity for the NFL to show that it is willing to change. With the attention of millions of fans and the impact of the latest news, referees will be under a magnifying glass. Any error can generate an avalanche of criticism. And for us Raiders fans, of course, the best case scenario would be a Chiefs loss. We will keep an eye on every play and every decision. Today, more than ever, justice must prevail. Now, nation, I want to hear from you. What do you think of these changes the NFL is proposing? Will this really bring balance to the games? And what are your expectations for tonight's game between the Chiefs and Bills? Leave your opinion here in the comments. Let's fill this section with Foro Favoritismo to show that the Raiders Nation is aware and demanding justice. This is the time to make our voices heard. Oh, and if you haven't left a like yet, take the opportunity to give us a thumbs up. It doesn't cost anything, and it really helps to strengthen our channel. That's it, folks. Another episode of Raiders Report to tell you. Today, we talked about everything. Possible changes in command with Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll's strategies, and of course, that taste of justice against the Chiefs.